Action. No?
All right. Well, all right, count again. I'm ready.
She's going to have to introduce you.
At this point, yes. Hey guys, I am Cafecito and this is Anthony. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. All right, here.
2, and...
Yo, what is up, La Familia? I am back. We're back with another podcast, and we have a super special guest today. Brittany from the Cafecito, owner, CEO, CFO, all the above. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick? And
Yeah. Thank you. Wow. I feel like a woman in business right now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you are.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Brittany. As you guys know me, I am the owner and founder of Cafecito. I'm just super excited to be here. As I mentioned in my stories earlier in my Instagram, I just can't believe all these opportunities and all these blessings that just keep coming our way. And thank you, Anthony, and the whole Familia podcast and team for inviting me over today. I'm wearing my shades, which you guys never see me in shades. Never see me desarreglada, so... But it's me.
we asked you if you could put the shades on, and you did. So shout out to you. I appreciate that because we have a friend, Zeke, who's coming.
Okay.
He's just completely counter anything that we ask him to do. Nothing bad, but he's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's not me. That's not me. So whenever someone's like, yeah, let's do it. That's always fun. So this is really good, by the way. I took a sip while you were introducing yourself, and this is amazing.
What did you drink? What is it? What is that one?
Oh, there's different ones?
Yeah.
I have mazapan.
Okay, I have churro.
I've had your churro one. So, shout out to Brittany for bringing us some drinks. She brought some to-go coffee, but I'm drinking this right now. I'm not taking this nowhere. I want to get to, I'm just going to jump right in because we're kind of short on time, but I want to get to just kind of the reason why, we asked you to come, and I just really appreciate you taking some time out of your day and, dragging the fam out here. They had to go or they left, but they're going to come back, so shout out to them. The real reason why we brought her out is that so I don't have to wait in line for coffee. So this is really
literally
what this is all about. Because, no, but like all jokes aside, you've only been doing it for less than a year.
Less than a year, yeah.
You started in September 2022.
That is right. You know your facts.
Started in 2022 from your parents' house.
Right.
And you used to have large picnic tables that you'd bring out. You had a big board with your logo on there.
Yes.
Do you still carry that board, or do you still have it?
So yes, we used to carry it around almost everywhere until it broke, sadly. But we do plan to recreate that same board when we do turn 1 year, and we do still have those picnic tables. So we actually, I don't know if you kind of saw this, but we actually celebrated our 21K Mujer Emprendedora. We did like a whole theme just to celebrate, all the blessings that have come our way. It was also another way to bring in other business owners like women and just to highlight their businesses as well. Everyone's local, so I love that idea. And we brought out the picnic tables. And
what dates did y'all do that?
We did that last
Recently, right?
Sunday. Yeah, not yesterday, but like the past Sunday. We had a whole banda and everything. It's crazy, honestly. Like, let me just before we jump into another subject.
You can keep it
it's
rolling.
crazy because everybody was like, we've never saw coffee banda. Like, what is going on? is your coffee spiked or what? And I was like, no, that's just who I am. I love banda. I'm from El Norte. I'm from Durango. And, I was born into some Duranguense or whatever it is, right? Like, that's just the theme of, everything that I grew up in. And so I just wanted everything to be very like me. And so I did the event based on my favorite colors, which is like different kinds of pinks. And I did, all these different women came out and we had a banda. And it was just a good time, no alcohol or nothing. Just everybody was just having a blast. And I think,
great time, just celebrating each other.
It was a vibe.
Businesses. What are some of the local businesses that were there? Like, what did they do?
So a lot of them were, one of them was a taco business. business. They are just starting their journey as well, I believe. Churroland Cafe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They're in Garland. And then we had women who make cookies. One of them is Krista Cookies. She makes our logo, like our logo cookies. And then we had different women that have like boutiques and stores, candles and things like that. A lot of the times we've had the opportunity to have pop-ups with them in the past, and for a lot of them it was their first time, and it was just a great time overall.
The amount of support and following that y'all have been able to like obtain or build is really crazy. Like, it's really crazy. It's been less than a year, and like honestly, like me as the founder of La Familia, and like being inspired by you and being inspired by what you've done and your team. Ironically, right, we're called La Familia, but you literally work with Familia, right?
Yeah.
Is the whole team family?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, because I know like sometimes, so for example, in my job, in my regular, day-to-day job, I work with my uncle. And
perfect.
He's my boss. Mm-hmm. But the balance of like, when are you my uncle? When are you my boss? And butting heads. And, I saw that you mentioned, whenever you introduced your family and the team, that y'all do butt heads, but there isn't anyone that you'd rather butt heads with, right? So talk a little bit about like working with family and those like rough times that are not always as smooth and as fun and as energetic as maybe y'all make it seem. Has there ever been a time maybe where, and we can get into this after you explain, but
Right.
Well, two questions. Sorry. One, how is it working with family? How do you manage that? And two, has there ever been a time where y'all really just were not on the same page while on the way
Many
to
times,
an event?
yeah. So we started the business, as I mentioned, or you mentioned, outside of my parents' home. At first, it was just kind of me and my husband helping me along with this journey. I did all of my recipes, of course. I had my whole family try them out. And I think since then, they were already becoming a part of Cafecito. Cafecito, the name is inspired by my grandfather's name, Cito, and which is, someone who took on a big role raising me and my siblings.
He had 17 kids, right?
Yeah, he had 17 kids.
How was that?
That's just crazy.
Pretty-
He had 17 kids, but 9 of them with my grandma.
Okay.
So my mom is one of like the youngest of the siblings, and I just don't know if it was because we grew up in a really rough, growing up, my parents weren't just the best parents. They were in my eyes, mm-hmm. right? But like when you go back and you look at everything, you're like, dang, my parents had it rough.
Yeah.
And so my grandpa like played a big role in that. And so thanks to them, like both of my grandparents, we never saw that, my parents were struggling. We never got to see like, hey, my dad, struggling with drugs, struggling with this. Like we never got to see that. So I just wanted to do something to, bring in the family together. And apart from obviously like the growth and like, all of these opportunities that we get, this business had us brought the family closer. My intermediate family, which is my parents, my siblings, my husband. But right now, my aunt is starting to help us out. My cousin's starting to help us out. And, my brother's girlfriend. So it's really just all family that's part of it. And of course, as we keep growing, we do plan to bring in more people, that we can, trust, and they can also become like family. But I'm just really big on giving my family the opportunity before anyone else. So, it's been growing on everyone. Obviously, like everyone's kind of like, wow, like we didn't see this happening.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy that, you mentioned, having family together and how we bump heads and everything. But also I try to look at the bigger picture sometimes. My dad just purchased his first vehicle two days ago. It's his first like truck, those
the
chilaquiles,
Jesse,
right?
remember that one day?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Y'all
Yeah.
were down the street from Ola at that pink store. I forget the name
Yes,
of that store.
the pink store. Yes,
Is it-
talking out of turn.
Yes.
Talking out of turn. Yes.
So we were getting coffee, and I was like, yo, Cafecito's down the street. I really want to try the chilaquiles.
Chilaquiles.
Long story short, we pulled up, got the chilaquiles, and I was like, hey, you want to just share it? Like, we could just share it, whatever, cool. And we tried it, and he was like, I think I'm going to go back for another one.
Right.
Like, they're amazing.
Thank you.
Just want to throw that out there. But your dad purchased.
Yeah, he just purchased his vehicle, and it made me cry a lot because I never saw this coming. Like, my dad has worked his ass off. Sorry, I don't want to say bad words, but has worked his, off.
His ass off.
For the longest. His ass off. For the longest in construction, doing just doing landscaping, doing a lot of stuff. And he was never able to purchase a truck. Never. Like, he had a little Honda and just little vehicles like that. But the fact that he was able to go out there and just be like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And I was like, oh, okay, just do it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, yesterday he showed up to the pop-up with his truck, and everybody was like, who is this person? Because he has like a little carcachita before. It's like a little Equinox or something. It's so old. That thing has broken down so many times on us on our way to our pop-ups that we never really actually mention on our stories because we don't want people to be like, oh, I feel sorry for you or anything like that. But
is it when you mention like, hey, we have
something's happening? Something's happening. It's always an Equinox.
It's always
It's always an Equinox.
Because I would see it, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just seeing it.
Not anymore.
Now we know.
Not anymore though.
But it's like, man, like, it's just wild, like, just the journey of, like, even for us, like, we haven't gotten, super big or not even big at all, but like, I think just seeing the little impact that we have created and then just like celebrating like those small victories like along the way.
Right.
I think it's very important to celebrate, like where you've come from and now where you are. And it's just like you said, you never saw it coming. Like you never saw that we'd be able to build this, empire, this business and this, and what's so beautiful, like, and honestly, it's so inspiring is like, it's all family. And it's like, we want to put our family in a position to win. We want to put our family in a position to be successful, whatever that may look like. But if like we can do that, I think that's every, Hispanic, every Hispanic's dream, especially like, because you're first gen
Mexican,
and so just that process of being first gen alone is pretty crazy.
We get
pretty,
a lot put on our plate.
A lot put on your plate. Like I know. My wife tells me stories all the time, like, "Hey, I have to go do this. I have to go do this." And honestly, I'm not first gen, but hearing her stories and hearing how they have to do things at certain times, like, "Hey, I have to go fill out this form," and sometimes like we would like argue because I'm like, why do you have to leave? Like, why do you have to go? Like, no, you don't have to. But then I do have to. Like, I do have to go because who else? Like, who else would do it? And so now, like, I'm learning and and then being able to spread that message and then inspire people to just like, hey, like you can build something together. You can build something with family. Right. It may not always look pretty, it may be struggle. It may be hurt, maybe fights. But talk a little bit about like the
bad side of it
and like kind of like the bad, not necessarily bad side, but like. Right. Not everything's always pretty, because y'all look very pretty at the pop-ups. Like y'all do like the setup and it's all amazing. But like, Jesse and I like at times have had disagreements before we've done an event, or Zeke, our friend that lives here. We definitely have a lot of disagreements. My wife and I always. We all do. Oh my God, I'm saying like referring to La Familia. My wife and I can never be on the same page when it comes to La Familia. And so she was like, you know what? I'm just going to let you do your thing. And I'm here to support you and build you up. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's where we need where we need to be.
I think the most we argue when it comes to this business, it's me and my husband. I think like we don't argue outside of the business, but when we're there, we're like, damn, like why are we arguing so much? And we get along so well, like outside of it, because we're just like chilling, we're hanging out. Like right now, he's like, hey, don't worry about it, I'll drop you off, take the kids to the park. Like you go hang out for a little bit, it's cool. Like, and that's just who we've always been. But I think it's just all the pressure that we have. Like I tend to double book events all the time, and I try to like be a mom, be a wife, be this businesswoman, but also like have a social life and also just be me. And sometimes I overwhelm myself a little too much, that I tend to just kind of take that out on whoever's next to me, which is always my husband. And I do apologize all the time, and I think that is the reason why we have grown as not just like in the business, but as a relationship because we've gotten to know each other in another level as like not just partners and we're in love. Now we're like partners in business. Now we're partners as like not just best friends, but we are doing this together. Like, and so a lot of the times, it's usually when the new menu drops, it's always like, hey, I have this new idea. And my husband's like, boy, if you don't stop that. And then he's always like, why do you always have to keep changing your menu? Like, people haven't even tried the new drink, like the first drinks. And I'm just like, I don't know, I just want to change it up. I think it's the season. We have to change it up. It's something else. And then he's like, boy, we just bought all this stuff for these drinks. Now we're going to put them to the side and save them because you just have a new idea of this new menu. And I'm just like, so he's more in like the financing side of the business. He does all the inventory. He makes sure that, we're not spending more than we're supposed to. And I'm just a spender. I'm just like, hey, new cups came out. Like, I have this new idea. And he's just like, dude, like, just stop. And
you're like, oh yeah, we need that. We need that right there.
And I'm like, we just need, like, I need that. And he's like, no, you don't. He's like, we're doing good. And then there has been times that, aferrada, I'm like, no, we need that. We buy it. And it just doesn't work out because it's like bad quality or it's just like pretty for the looks. He's like, see, I told you. So now I've learned to kind of also take in more of his like no into consideration before I just jump into it. Also the names of the drinks. A lot of the times he's like, why don't you call it this? And I'm like, because that's in English. We need it in Spanish.
Yeah.
So like, for example, our newest drink, Bebe Leche, we argued about that so much because it's a Dulce de Leche drink. It's inspired by the obleas. And so there's a museum in Durango that's called Bebe Leche. And I just like Bebe Leche, Dulce de Leche just kind of rhymes. And I was like, hey, this is also like, because everything's pretty much like Mexico, like me, who I am as a person. And I was like, I'm going to call it Bebe Leche. And then he was like, people are going to think it's a milk drink. And I was like, no, it's just, you just stop. And then he was like, why don't you just call it Dulce de Leche? Like and I'm like, that's basic.
Yeah, that is.
I'm like, that is basic. And he's like, okay, call it the obleas. And I was like, no, I'm going to call it Bebe Leche and you're just going to go along with it. And so that was one of the biggest arguments we had, honestly.
Over the
whole like 9 months. That dang drink, Bebe Leche, god dang. He's like, I'm so ready for this to be over. He's like, I can't wait for you to drop the fall menu because this Bebe Leche drink is stressing me out.
Bebe Leche is tripping me out. That's so funny. Like,
and it's become one of the best sellers right now
really?
with the summer menu.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so funny because like literally like I feel like we can relate so much in that aspect because number you see number one, because whenever I ask her like, hey, what do you think of this? She's like, no, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, you know what? I don't even know why I asked you. You don't know. You don't know.
But then, you do know sometimes.
No,
I'll say that. Yeah.
She does. No, she does. But like you said, sometimes you just want a certain thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what? I don't even know why I asked you.
Yep.
I bought it anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, and then Jesse's like that with me because I'll call him like I'm always working on something. I'm always trying something. I'm always designing something. I'm always just doing something.
And I love that actually. Honestly,
and
like
you
the
need
T-shirt ideas, like your everything. Every time I look at like what you guys are dropping, like the merch, I was like, what in the world? Like what? How? Like that's cool. I like that honestly.
I really appreciate that. At least somebody appreciates it because I'm in the room with two. I tell her all the time. I say, bro, you're my biggest hater. You're my biggest hater.
I tell that to Adrian all the time.
Literally,
and he's like, all right, then go do the pop-up by yourself. And I'm like, never mind. Never mind.
Literally, it's literally like that. And so like I'll call Jesse one day. It'll be like 11:30. But hey, bro, call me at ASAP.
7:30, not 11:30. 7:30 in the morning.
No. It'll be that's like 10:30, 11:30 at night. But it'll also be like 7:30 in the morning.
With some random idea.
Either I'm like, hey bro, call me ASAP. That's all I tell him.
Yeah.
And we talk on the phone a lot. We don't really text because we're both like always busy doing something. So like we talk on the phone a lot anyways. So whenever I send a text like that, then like he's gonna call me. It's like, hey bro, call me ASAP. He calls me. I decline it because I want to FaceTime. So now FaceTime and he's like, yo, what's up? And I'm just like, for example, I'm just like, yo, what do you think of this hat? Like, he's like, bro, it's 7 in the morning. What do you mean? What do I think of the hat? Just tell me what you think. Look, I just did it right now. I just printed it. Can I wake up first? Can I?
Wait,
get
hold
up?
on. You print your own stuff?
Yeah. This I did not because this is embroidered.
Yeah.
But like the shirts and the other hats that we have.
Oh my, that's so cool. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's
okay.
why
Love
I'm
that.
saying it's so easy to just be like, hey, what do you think
Yeah.
of this? And he's like, first of all, it's 1 a.m. Like I'm trying to sleep, and I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, we're just coming back in the morning.
Yeah.
Like one time, but then like there's obviously pros and cons, but like there is times where you just feel like so bad that you know it's gonna work.
Yeah.
And it does work. And one of those times was we dropped some mesh shorts. We did
Yeah, I saw that.
And I called them and I said, hey, it was like right before the summer. It was springtime. Honestly, but in Texas, there is no spring.
Yeah.
It was summer, basically. And so I'm like, yo, what do you think about if we do mesh shorts? Like, we should do it. We just, do La Familia, whatever. I already know a place where I can get them. And he's like, honestly, and then he says his little deal. I don't listen. But then I was like, okay. Well, I already bought them. Okay, I thought you were gonna say yes. I thought you were gonna say yes.
Jesse.
It's like I thought you were gonna say
I
yes.
was thinking finances, like, okay.
Yeah.
Now you are.
Yeah. Okay, Adrian. All right, Adrian.
And so I was like, honestly, bro, I thought you were gonna say yes, but I already bought them, so
Yeah.
they're gonna come and I'm gonna print them. He's like, all right, bro, whatever. Like, we'll just see how they do. And they sold out. And so, but. It's not a thing of like, oh, let me prove you wrong. It's like one of those things where like you just have this feeling, and so just like how many times, and not necessarily like that specific thing like where you've had this feeling and it worked, but just how many times do you feel like like everything is like against you and everybody. So not necessarily your business, but just in general, like how many times like growing up or even before you started the business or when you were going to start the business, how many times did you feel like people against you, or maybe not support, or maybe even like self-doubt? Like, did you ever have that? Or
So yes, I did. I would say on the business side, the to-go bottles were a big thing. Everybody was like, how are you going to do that? I was like
this?
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just going to buy them. I'm going to just put the label for them now. Like, we'll just, maybe like put with the Sharpie in the bottom what it is. Like, we'll just have to launch them because people don't like, most of our pop-ups are at night. Mm-hmm. Some people don't tend to drink coffee late at night like we do because we're like in a younger crowd, right? But like the older crowd doesn't, or some people just have like they suffer from like high blood pressure, stuff like that they're like, no, we're more like exactly, so they're more like a morning type of thing. And so I was like, I think I gotta come up with something that I can supply for this other clientele, you know what I mean? So they'll be able to come and just pick up at night, and then they'll drink them in the morning. And so that was the biggest thing. My husband's like, well, how do you know? Like, have you done your research about how milk is and if it goes rotten, things like that? And so I was like, yeah, indeed I have. So I have done all of that, and I'm just bringing you the idea, and I was just hoping you said yes. And so he was like, well,
the bottles are right here.
He's like, where are you going to get the bottles from? And I said, well, they already got delivered this morning from Amazon. Honestly, I was like, because last night I thought about it. I did all of that, and I had Amazon Prime, so shout out Amazon Prime. It got there the next morning, and so I told my parents about it. My parents were like, whoa, y el café, como, like, there's just so many questions. And honestly, to-go bottles, apart from like obviously our coffee, has been like a huge hit. Like people like this. Like, they take them like people that are like businesses around us, like Wingstop and dentist places and things around us. You actually order them, and then my husband just goes and drops them off in the morning. We don't really post about it on our social media because that's more like we already know it's gonna come, and we already have them ready for them. We go drop them off, and it's for like the dentists, like the teachers, like whatever, all the people around there. There's schools around us that also do that. Like teachers will go pick them up during their lunch hour and then bring them for the whole other teacher. So it's just like the staff and stuff. So it's just like one of the coolest things that I thought about, and I was like, it's just going to be different because the ice is not going to melt like as it would in a different, like in a regular cup. And we're able to I was actually just talking about this. I want to find out how we can ship these, like, overnight or something, do some type of shipping, because we do have a lot of supporters from outside of Dallas.
They do have insulated coolers though, right?
Yes. And I mean, like, I'm like, HelloFresh does it, like, all these other companies do it. I'm pretty sure that we can figure it out. Maybe some dry ice, I don't know. But that's something that I was also bringing up. When it comes to like obstacles and things like that, as in my personal life, I used to do a lot of like influencing when I first became a mom. So I would, just go out and show places to go with your children and things like that. I would show like my kids' outfit of the days. And so I grew a community on social media through that. And when I got pregnant, or when I became pregnant of my third child, which is Caleb, he's my miracle baby, he's my angel baby. If you guys seen my Telemundo interview, I talked about some of the struggles that I have as a mother. Well, I wouldn't say struggles, but some of the things that, we go through as parents and challenges. Yeah. And so Caleb, he was diagnosed with hydrocephalia, which is like hydrocephalus, and epilepsy. And so he's had that since he was a baby. And so he's about 6 now, I want to say 6 years old. Sorry, I have 3 kids, so I get confused. But he is 6 years old. And he's been about maybe 4 months seizure free.
Oh, wow.
And that is something that is really big, because he used to have seizures sometimes like twice a day. So wow. Being a 4 month seizure free has awesome. Just been a huge thing. Yeah. But that was my biggest thing when it came with the business. I was like, what about the times that, I have to open the shop, which is also the reason why it's kind of held us back from opening a location. Yeah. Because I think about the times that, what if one of my kids gets sick? Not just Caleb necessarily, but one of them gets sick. Like, how am I going to open the shop? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I need to be consistent with my hours, and I need to be. And right now, it's really nice for us because we're able to. Like Mondays we close, like we're like, hey, we're not gonna do anything. But if I wanted to, I'll be like, hey, tomorrow I'm not gonna open as well.
It could be
and
easy,
people could run away. Yeah,
it's
but
easier to
exactly
not open because you're popping up.
Right. And when it comes to a shop, a location itself, that's different. You have bills, you have things you gotta pay, and it just comes with a lot more. Yeah. I guess not want to say responsibility, but more of you there. Yeah. So those are one of the I guess the most biggest obstacle for me. It challenges me. It really challenges my faith, I would say. Mm-hmm. I've got to really put my trust in the Lord that, he is going to do a miracle. He's been doing it for 4 months now. And before 4 months, he had been doing it since we began the business. Wow. So Caleb had a seizure when we first started, and then he was seizure free. And then he just had another one 4 months ago, and then he's been okay. Yeah. And that wasn't the case before. So I just really have to put my faith and, awesome. Just trust the Lord that he is in control of not just the business, not just my myself, but my children and everything that is coming our way. And I like to always kind of find support within my family. Every time I'm feeling some type of way, I'll come to them and I'm like, hey, you know what, I'm feeling this way, let me know. My parents, they changed for good about 14 years ago. They turned into Christian, and my dad became a preacher. Wow. And so right now, with all of this, it kind of, like I said, it's brought us closer together, but it's also, I feel like, because of my parents' prayers, because they never stopped praying over us. They're like, hey, nosotros ya vamos a salir de esto, but we know your siblings are going to come into it, and we know this is going to help our grandchildren and their generation. So my parents see, obviously, a bigger picture and the spiritual side, you know what I mean? And so I'm just really, really blessed when it comes to that.
That's so awesome, because it's like, a friend of mine, he always says, what we're doing now is for the generations to come. So everything that you do now affects the generation to come, your kids, their kids, because it's like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? What message do you want to leave behind? And I think I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I was like, if La Familia never, gets huge or turns into this, big thing that, I would love it to turn into, obviously we would love for everyone to hear our message, but if it never turned into, whatever, and we kept doing just, the events that we do and local and just stayed there, I think I would be fine with that, because I think our kids or, our future generations to come up can see mom and dad or whoever, they made an impact in the people around them and their community. And it's crazy because we see that with you, and it's super inspiring because you, sorry, I thought this turned off. It's super inspiring because it's the impact that you've had in Pleasant Grove and in your community, that's your heart. That's your
Yeah.
heart is PG. I see it all the time. Where are you opening your shop? Pleasant Grove. When the time comes,
And people are
that's-
like, get out of the hood. And I'm like, no.
No, like, we
I'm like,
can't-
this is where we
Yeah.
started. This is where it's going to end. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it's going to be. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Talk,
it.
Just talk a little bit about that and how the importance of staying within your hood and building your community and eventually maybe even like giving jobs like power each other. So talk a little bit about that if any aspirations.
So the vision with Cafecito to begin with was always, like I mentioned, my parents are into church. My parents don't drink, obviously, but they drink caffeine like there was no tomorrow. Like they literally sit there and like,
Yeah.
caffeine in the morning, caffeine at night. And I'm just like, Mom,
Like nothing.
what in the world is going on? And so I would see, it happened a lot. My mom would go out with her friends. They would gather together. They'd go to like my favorite local coffee shops because I would always be like, hey, go here, go there.
Yeah.
And so I remember once my mom had gone or had gathered with her friends and they went to, I want to say Halcyon. I think it was Halcyon.
Okay.
And so my mom was like, no hay nadie que hable español. Like, can you please, she FaceTimed me. She's like, can you please, le puedes decir que ordeno y esto y el otro.
Or sometimes
And
they'll
so-
just leave. Like
Yeah.
sometimes our people won't even do that.
Yeah,
They'll just
but
leave.
I think the reason why she stayed, honestly, is because all her friends were there.
Oh, okay,
and so
okay.
but yeah, she
Yeah.
has left. They have left before from other shops, and so I was like, what in the world? And then also when I worked at Starbucks for a while, because I worked at Starbucks for maybe like 4 or 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
and that was really just a little push for me because I already knew I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Some people get it mixed up, so I'm gonna clarify myself real quick.
Do it.
I didn't work at Starbucks to steal anything. I worked at Starbucks to just kind of get more confidence and. Anyway.
Because you have to start somewhere. Like,
Yes.
You got to start somewhere. Like, if it's Starbucks or if
Yeah.
it's another local coffee
But
shop.
even
or
when I
it's just
first
like,
started there, like my first day, my interview,
This is really good.
Thank you, thank you.
Sorry, I haven't had this flavor. Masapan?
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of our top sellers.
Sorry.
Yes.
This is good.
And so I had even mentioned it straightforward to my manager. I was like, hey, my dream is to open my own coffee shop. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And he was like, hey, you're not the first or probably won't be the last
Yeah.
that comes into this with that vision,
Mentality,
with that
yeah.
mentality. So don't be ashamed. Like, just learn what you need to learn. And whenever you feel free, like whenever you feel like you're ready, like don't feel like you have this attachment to stay here,
Yeah.
So even with my coworkers visit us all the time too. Like they knew from the beginning, like that was my thing. And I would talk about it sometimes, like during our shifts, and I'd be like, hey, like one day I want to get this, I want to get that. And sometimes they would just be like, girl, just do your job. Girl, just they'd be like, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
Because we would be so busy. So that, like, just to be like, girl, just stop talking. But it was just,
Pass me the whipped cream. John.
yeah, just pass me the whipped cream and we can talk about it later. Yeah.
Can I get through?
Yeah, so my location was actually like a drive-through location, and I got so many compliments while I worked there because I was, like the one that spoke to the people and stuff. And so I obviously am bilingual, and so I would help out so many women, so many people that would go out there, Mexican people, Latinos, just kind of translate the menu for them and tell them like, oh, well, what do you like to drink? And then they'll be like, well, es que me gusta, pero no muy azucarado, but like this and that. So then I'd be like, okay, I got you. I'll make you a drink. And then, so I would just kind of ask them questions, and I would make them the drink, and they would just be like, la misma bebida que la otra vez, la misma bebida que la otra vez. So it became a thing.
And now
I'm
you
like,
have this like whole group of certain people that
Yes.
become regulars because you're there and because you're able to
Yes.
Build that bridge.
Yes, and so I actually was recognized when I worked at Starbucks a few times by my managers and everybody there, because there were comments or just reviews of people saying like, hey, we love seeing Brittany. It's 5 a.m. and she just has, hey guys, how are you? And it just kind of makes our day better, like it makes me go to work like feeling energized and stuff like that. So I just thought like, okay, like I have all these things, like all these, I guess, good things
Yeah.
about what I love doing, because I love doing this. I'm just gonna do this now with my own. Like it's time for me to just push and move forward. And so I forgot what the question was. I know we were talking about it, but I forgot what the question was. What was the question?
The hood.
Oh, the importance of maybe if you had any aspirations to staying in the hood and bringing jobs.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I got this. We were all like, what? What was the question?
People say to leave the hood, and I was saying
Yeah.
the importance of staying in the hood and
Right.
bringing jobs and.
So then, you know, my vision was I want to build a place where not just people like our age, not just, you know, but our parents, their generation can walk into this coffee shop and know what they're ordering. Not just because we speak Spanish, but because our flavors are catered to what we grew up eating, drinking, our flavors. So a lot of people are like, well, why do you put so many flavors in your coffee? Don't you want the black coffee? And I'm like, yeah, you leave the black coffee for 7-Eleven, and then you come to me I grew up with, you know, you make a salsa, you're gonna have like 7 chiles in there. So I like to season my stuff without overpowering the sugar levels, of course. I like to always keep like, people are always like, that's probably too sugar, that's probably too, and I'm like, boy, like I know, well, I need to make a menu when it's like says the calories and stuff, because I have been trying to work on that, but I'm like, it's not too sweet, just try it. Just try it. You can always add an extra shot if you want to, or make it a little sweet. But people sometimes like just see it and they're like, oh, whoa. But I'm like, no, like just try it, like it's cool, like, or we can make it less sweet or whatever. But that's just some people, but like most of the people, they just like, I'll try it the first time, and then if I want to, and they just never change it. They're like, oh no, it's fine the way it is. It's fine the way it is. That's what I wanted. That was my vision. And when we first started selling from outside of the house, we had those benches, as we mentioned. We had my aunts, my mom's friends just come out there, hang out. And I started during the fall. So I remember just sitting out there and then, you know, listening to Ricardo Arjona, Juanes, whatever, because those are the type of music that I also like to listen to. And I would put that on, and then my aunts and everybody would just be chit-chatting. And I have videos about that I'm actually going to be posting on a reel soon. And they're just chit-chatting outside, drinking my coffee. And I was like, this is the vision that I had for this coffee shop. And this is the vision that I want to have once we have our own space and we continue to open up more locations. So, that's really important for me to be able to bring that into what people call the hood. I'm like, no, we're not gentrifying anything. We're not changing anything. We're literally just restoring what our parents have worked so hard, you know, to buy these houses. Like everyone around my neighborhood, they all own their houses, but they've worked so hard to own the house, to buy the house. And it's not fair for them to just get kicked out and, you know, they just build a new Pleasant Grove. Like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to restore the Pleasant Grove that we have. And we're going to bring in more small Latino businesses in here, that it's not by somebody that moved from out of state and came in here and just tried it. Like, no, we're going to do it from the people that live here. That's my biggest thing.
And it's always the worst when like someone comes in and tries to tell you what you need.
Exactly.
It's like, how can you tell me what I need when you didn't grow up here? You don't know our struggles. You don't know what we've been through. You didn't walk in the shoes that we walked in, you know. And it's just like building jobs and keeping the Latino-owned businesses within, you know, where we grew up and where we are currently, you know, living, or whatever the case is. That's like super important, because it's like we can't just keep giving up, you know, our beautiful childhood memories and stories and things that are foundations in the community. Like people like go to these people go to these stores and these, you know, paleterias and everything. Like they go because it's like they have a connection almost. It's like, man, I used to come here as a kid. Like I want to bring my kid now, you know. And it's just like, and they're thriving businesses. It's not like they're not thriving. Like they're thriving, but maybe to the outsider, it's like, oh, like let's build something new. Like no, we don't need to do that. Let's restore or maybe like revamp what we have now, but keep the same businesses, keep the same people, because those are the ones who know what we need, what we want, and what we can do to make this community better. It's like, you try to make the community better, but you're asking the wrong people. You're telling the wrong people. And it's like, why don't you ask who's here? You know what I mean? And so I think that's super important to have a target audience. And I think sometimes a lot of people think like, oh, like you only cater to so-and-so or this demographic of people. And it's like, yeah, that's my target audience, you know? And I think there's nothing wrong with expanding, but you got to start somewhere. It's like, this is for Latinos, this is for our people, and we want to target them, but everyone is welcome, of course. But it's like,
everyone is welcome.
But like everyone has a target. There's target audiences in stores. Like my friend said that the other day. He's like, you know, everywhere you go, there's a target audience. So it's just like, this is our target audience, and if we're blessed enough for it to grow and expand to where other people, other cultures, other races come, then that's a plus. That's awesome. But it's like, we want to start with the house, the home, you know, our people, you know, and so that's super, like I said, like I'm not saying this just to say this, like it's been super inspiring to watch y'all and see y'all grow. Like
Thank
I
you.
remember pulling up to the house.
You
and
did?
I pulled up to the house, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll pull it to the house. We'll
you
play
guys,
a video.
This is so funny. I mean, not so funny, but I like it's so funny because people always say like, I remember pulling up to the house, and I'm like, damn, everybody knows where I live.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, and it's just like we pulled up to the crib and we'll play a video right now. Not a video of me, but like just a video that y'all have at the house of the setup, and then we'll play a video right now, right here, of what y'all do now, and it's just like where y'all started and where y'all at. Y'all got a whole tent set up, and it's just like it's so dope to see.
Yeah.
But I think we're out of time. We need to do this
worries.
again.
This is part 2.
Soon, part 2 and soon. I actually brought a gift for you. So
Oh.
if my wife would be so awesome to bring the gift. You don't have to open it now, or you can. But
No, let's open it on camera.
let's open it on camera. Okay.
Will you hit record on my camera? I don't think I'm. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. You just like switch the thing, like the.
The screen has been open the whole time since she's bought it. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, now
I didn't know you
flip
could do that. Oh my goodness! Look at this, you guys.
it. Bendiciones.
Bendiciones para la
Yeah.
familia. This is so good.
Yeah.
If you ever want to do a pop-up with us and like bring your merch, let
do
me
it.
know.
There's something else in there too.
Something
There's
else in
something
here?
else in
Oh
here,
my God. I feel like, my goodness. Is that the necklace you're wearing right now? I was literally staring at you. Well, not like you, but like your necklace the whole time. Well, I was staring at you because you're obviously in front of me.
We
But not in a
we
weird way.
understand.
Not
We
in a weird
understand.
way.
We understand. We
Not in a
understand.
weird way. But I was like, what is it connected? Like, and I'm like, it says la familia. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, thank you.
I hope you like it.
I love it. I love it.
We should do something soon if you're down. I'm so down.
Yeah,
So if you want to do
definitely.
something soon,
Always
we can
down.
Definitely do it.
Always down.
But man, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being a part of this and shooting with us. Shout out Jesse. I always shout out Jesse because you know he brings the
Thank
camera.
you,
He does
thank
all of
you.
our editing and stuff. And then obviously my wife. You know, our husbands and wives. Where would we be without them? So
Exactly.
it's just like shout out to my wife every time. You know, I love you. But thank you so much.
Like
Brittany,
after that, you put me on blast.
Founder, owner, CEO, CFO, woman business
UFO.
owner, UFO, empowered woman, putting other people on, and what you're doing is awesome. What you're doing is
Thank you,
amazing,
thank
and
you,
honestly,
thank
like we really, really, really love it and inspired. Hopefully, one day we can get to a level like yours, and so
Maybe after this podcast,
hey,
this episode.
You never know. You never know. You never
Never
know.
know.
Hey,
Part
so
2. Thank
shout out
you.
to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Share it, like, subscribe. Peace.